So today I might make you a little mad, Carolyn and Jimmy. Somebody sent the archived Family School Truth webpage to me, right? So we're going to go through that. It's utterly disgusting the amount of investigations that were opened and so unnecessary, right? Because they could have shut it down and none of us would be going through this. So this is the page that we often talk about being the death of the family school. There were multiple links attached, but the links are broken. I'm working on getting the actual documents from the investigation. It just might take me some time. This is where the stories was first told, right? I'm going to leave it up, but I want to get to the important part. In 2011, our campaign requested all documents from the New York State Education Department State Multi-Agency Investigation. Hold on. Into the abuse spanning over 20 years at the school. What we obtained at this time are documents that contradict what the Family Foundation School Administration has claimed, that they were unaware of any abuse allegations or concerns in the past, and confirm what our campaign has alleged since 2009. Since the retrieval of the documents listed below, the Family Foundation School has implemented a strategic plan to increase enrollment at the school, which includes partnering with more educational consultants, like the people that would, funnel us through the schools. The Family Foundation School has repeatedly failed to honestly and publicly admit faults from their abusive history, and although our campaign has confirmed that some physical abusive tactics are no longer in use, there are still severe psychological, emotional, verbal, and sometimes physical abuse and neglect still going on at the school. The school also received a letter from the state demanding they stop operating and marketing themselves as a drug and alcohol treatment center. New York State's former director of non-public schools, Thomas Hogan, who is retired after the investigation, he stepped down like 3 days after, told the other agency that it's none of their business. Exactly what our campaign heard him say in 2010 marketing event run by the Family Foundation School while he was praising the school's work during the speech. So as you could see down here, 1990 investigation, 1990 cease and desist, 1998 judge reports about a child that was sent there. Like this is a frequent thing. Generally through the entire time that the school was operating. So this was the multi-agency in 2010. Our campaign scheduled a meeting with the Office of Mental Health and Center for Quality Care for Youth with Disabilities. During our meeting, 7 of the volunteers told the state agencies why we thought the Family Foundation School was operating their facility under false pretenses and abusing kids in the process. We gave them each a 200-plus page book with all the testimonials we have collected, along with investigations and evidence we have collected supporting claims of abuse throughout the Family Foundation School more than 30-year history. We explained our stories of abuse and asked them to do what no other agency has done: go to the family school and investigate for themselves. In June of 2010, the Office of Mental Health, CQC, New York State Office of Alcohol Substance Abuse Services, and the New York State Education Department conducted a 2-day unannounced visit to the Family Foundation School. They interviewed students, observed practices, and reviewed records. So, Jimmy, weren't you there for this? I'm just wondering. Although the investigation did not uncover any physical abuse at the time of the visit, they found many other things that were cause for immense concern at the Family Foundation School. The agencies that they visited did have their hands tied, though, because New York State lacks an effective mechanism or authority or ongoing oversight of such institutions. The link below will bring you to the state's investigation letter they sent to the owners of the school. As a result of our campaign's visit with state officials, new legislation is being drafted to give these agencies complete oversight of institutions like the family school. Here's what they uncovered, okay? Investigative concern including overcrowded trailers and dormitories whose upkeep posed possible hygiene, fire, and safety hazards, a practice called landlocking, in which students deemed a flight risk are barricaded in their dormitories, inadequate night staffing, students compelled to exercise inappropriately supervisory and clinical responsibility over other students, big no-no, LPNs inappropriately supervised in accordance with New York State Education Department standards, Students mandated to spend hours and sometimes days in solitary confinement in a timeout quiet room, which exceeds acceptable New York state and federal guidelines and arguably constitutes aversive intervention practices in some instances. Broad latitude given to non-credentialed and unlicensed personnel to make decisions regarding the use of time out and quiet rooms, particularly given the profiles of the students with serious emotional and psychiatric conditions at the school. Staff utilizing face-down or prone restraints on students, presenting a greater risk to the youth, of professional asphyxia, a potentially deadly outcome. Students inappropriately encouraged or allowed to take part in providing emergency assistance, including restraining other students, parentheses, taking peers down in distress, as well as holding another student's legs until staff arrived, for example. Non-credentialed staff members illegally providing psychotherapy and other clinical services legally reserved and restricted to SED licensed practitioners in New York State. Non-qualified staff members sometimes placed in the position of making lethality assessments for students in a crisis. Lack of protocol to ensure that comprehensive psychiatric screenings are conducted prior to admission. False or misleading claims in the school's marketing materials, program literature, and website. For example, investigators found no evidence corroborating the school's claim that it provides DBT and CBT to students. The school also advertises chemical dependence treatment services when it lacks a valid state certification to provide these services. Inconsistently or erroneously documented student medical records. The FFS employs a number of sanctions against students utilized for overt and perceived violations of the rules, which would not be allowed and could be considered harmful in licensed mental hygiene programs for individuals with significant histories of trauma and mental illness. Group sharing exercises known as table topics that can sometimes be utilized in a manner that may compromise the mental health problems of some students. The school does not have a system that reviews complaints of abuse and neglect. Here's a surprise. The Family Foundation School was given 30 days to respond to the state investigation, and we obtained the full response, which I am working on getting. The school took no responsibility for any of the state's concerns. The school responded to the investigation completely on the defense. Shocker! One of our campaign's issues with their response is that they have conned countless families into thinking that they are sending their children to a 12-step treatment center, but once again, the family school sticks to the fact that they are only a boarding school. So I am working on getting all the links. I couldn't get it from the links were broken. Family Foundation School responded once again, claiming no wrongdoing and calling alumni liars. Does that sound familiar? Again, by stating they reject their allegations of abusive conditions. Finally, the state investigation was closed because the Family Foundation School was not licensed or regulated by any agency besides the New York State Education Department as a school. The state investigators had little to no legal authority to do anything besides make suggestions to the school. So once again, we're in a position where, where are those absolutes, right? Honesty, love, purity, unselfishness, what's going on here?